Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Pick Six, my favorite football show here on Brew Sports. It's actually the only football show, so welcome to the Pick Six, where we talk everything and anything about football. I'm joined by my colleague and co-host, James Stewart. I'm Tanner Burke. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. I know it's early for some, but for people like Baxter, who's here at 6 o'clock in the morning Central Time every day, this is already late for him, so... But thank you for tuning in. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about today, of course. Tom Garrett will be on to talk about the breaking news with Tony Romo and how he is retiring, and now we have to decide where he's going to go in regards to his broadcasting career. We will talk about some rule changes in the NFL. Jerry Jones brought up an idea that maybe the NFL should lift their grip on the marijuana debate in the NFL. We also have our Pick Six today, where James and I will pick our 6 Super Bowl contenders. And we also have a new segment called Surprisers or Pretenders. So we have a great show for you today. James, how are you today?
I am doing great.
You're doing great?
Doing great.
You're doing great?
Ready to
That's
roll.
Good. You know who else is doing great?
Who's that?
My boy Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski had a very exciting weekend, and I think it's prudent to use some of his stuff to lead us into our one of my favorite segments, Cross the Line. So over the weekend, Rob Gronkowski surprised some people and took over WrestleMania. So he was sitting in the first row with his brother, and of course he gets a beer thrown in his face, probably his beer, and in perfect Gronk form, he steals the show and takes on all the other. I don't even know who some of these guys are, but I know who Gronkowski is, which is probably why they had him come on there. But it's funny to me because Gronkowski is the smallest guy in the ring,
right?
And I didn't realize, which is not normally like he's the biggest guy in the field. But it's funny because he's going up there and he's beating the crap out of these guys, and you're just like, the WWE man.
That's Gronk. I mean, who better to do it than Gronk? He's definitely got that larger than life personality, and it's crazy because he is so good, but he might be better known for being Gronk.
For his off-field antics, which
partying.
Normally is a bad thing.
Right.
He's not, going out and getting arrested.
But he parties like a bro.
He does.
Like an idiot,
he parties like a bro. He doesn't party. He doesn't party like an idiot. That's for sure.
He's not getting in trouble, but he's making a scene.
You can't really stop him from doing what he's doing.
Right.
He's at a point where you're like, okay, he's just going to be Gronk. If he's going to catch a beer from a fan on the parade in Boston, and he wants to shotgun it, that's fine. That's Gronkowski. So he's definitely making a name for himself off the field, which, the NFL is all about entertainment, and he gives the fans entertainment, so I'll give it to him. But some other news, well, first I guess we should say, since we're talking about cross the line, did Rob Gronkowski cross the line in regards to storming the court or storming the ring at WrestleMania?
I don't think he crossed the line. He's not the first, athlete to do it.
Celebrity to happen to be front row at WrestleMania.
Usually when you win the Super Bowl, you
can do whatever you want
for a year.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I don't think so either. I think it's great. It's good entertainment, and I wasn't about to pay to watch WrestleMania.
No.
But I'll watch a clip like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just not on the air.
Brings us back to the XFL days.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else heard, but Tom Brady's jersey was found. It's a big deal. And it was found in Mexico, and it finally made its return to Boston.
A glorious return.
It was a glorious return, and the fans at opening day for the Red Sox really took to him very well. And I believe we have a clip here of Brady's jersey returning to Boston. A proud moment, surely, for the entire Boston fan base. Oh, my God, what is that? Oh!
Gronk's at it again.
Gronk's at it again, and Brady's freaking. Brady looks like a twig out there. These guys are just like little summer camp buddies. Just love each other. They probably have sleepovers. Oh my God, this is too funny.
Is Gronk on heel? Is he? He's jumping in the ring. He's stealing jerseys.
I just think it's hilarious because I do not think that Brady knew Gronk was going to do that. I'm sure that was a last second, Gronk's like, I'm going to steal Brady's jersey.
Oh, this would be cool.
Yo, Brady's jersey's back in Boston? Not anymore. Great, man. Oh, man. So Gronkowski steals Tom Brady's jersey. It's the second time that jersey has been stolen. I mean, it's worth $500,000. So if I was Gronk, that's a nice payday. Right. Even if you're already a multimillionaire. So, But what do you think? Did Gronkowski cross the line this time and stealing Brady's jersey?
Again, I'm going to say no. I mean, it's Gronk being Gronk. We should have expected it.
This is true. I do not think Gronkowski crossed the line on this one. This is just good entertainment.
Yeah.
It's just Gronk being Gronk. So, one more little tidbit for cross the line. Breaking news: Tony Romo has officially retired. And apparently he's decided to go into broadcasting. Tony Romo left a lot in the tank. Not like John Elway retiring after a Super Bowl, but Tony Romo could have played for a couple more years easily and made a couple more $1 million. Is Tony Romo crossing the line here in regards to retiring and not giving the league what they want in regards to playing somewhere new and starting a broadcasting career?
I mean, he'll still have the hype because he'll be now covering. So it's not like he's walking or he's going to disappear. But, I mean, this takes us back to the conversation we've had hundreds of times. You know, all these guys are leaving earlier. The days of your Gladiators, your Cal Ripkens, your Brett Favres, those are done.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, guys aren't going to play
till they're 45.
Right.
Wait a minute. Tom Brady? 6 to 7 more years? He can play.
All right, one more. We got one more.
We got
Tom
one more
Brady.
of those guys. I mean,
Tom Brady might be the last one.
He really is like one big hit away, though, I think. So, I don't know. We'll see.
It sounds like wishful thinking to me.
Bags are like, what? No, he is. I mean, he's had a couple injuries, but he's been very durable throughout his career, and he's gotten hit a lot. He hasn't gotten hit very badly.
Right.
There hasn't been. I mean, I don't know if Brady's ever had a concussion. You know what I mean? I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he has, yeah.
Baxter says, aren't we all one hit away? Hot takes here on Pick 6. But, yeah, Tom Garrett's going to join us here in just a moment. But did Tony Romo cross the line and leaving the league and leaving a little bit of expectation out there on the table?
No, he did the smart thing. I mean, he's probably
not going to win a Super Bowl.
He's got enough money. He's not going to win a Super Bowl. What was he going to go to, Houston?
Or Buffalo?
Or the Browns.
Absolutely not.
So, no, he did the right thing. He's going to go and still be a part of the game and get to spend more time with his family and be healthy.
At some point, you just have to, you just have to realize you just want to be a dad.
Yeah.
And he's got the dad bod.
He's
had it for a long time. So, oh my gosh. Anyways, Dom Garrett is here with us today to chat a little bit about the breaking news of Tony Romo. Dom, how are you this morning, my man?
Doing great. Kind of worried about my job security now that Tony Romo has hit this free agent market. I'm doing all right.
Well, maybe we can get him to be here on Bruce Sports. I highly doubt it, but
open invitation.
We'll at least reach out to his agent for the good old college try. But what are your initial thoughts here on Tony Romo retiring? What that means to Dallas and the fan base, but what it means to the league from a perspective on a whole base here. I mean, I wanted to see a little bit of Tony Romo. So what do you think about that?
Well, we're never good. We're not going to lose the storyline of Tony Romo being a quarterback in the NFL. Adam Schefter, as soon as he reported that, his tweet an hour ago said an NFL executive texted him and said, Romo is now every team's emergency backup QB in case your starter gets hurt. Pay him to come out of, quote, retirement. So anybody has any sort of an issue, we're going to hear. It's like when a pro basketball head coaching job opens up and everybody's like, oh, is Coach Gay going to come out? Is Calipari going to come out? Is Tom Izzo going to come out? That's the same thing that's going to happen all the time for probably the next 3 to 5 years with Tony Romo. It's like, does Tony Romo have one more go in him? It's like, does he? Probably. But I was looking at I agree with you guys. I think it's a smart idea for him to get out. I mean, Romo has been injured a lot. He's played 13 seasons, and only 6 of those seasons he's played a full 16-game slate. Especially with the latest injury that just happened. Anytime you're messing with the back, that's something that one hit on the wrong side, and you're talking about like taking like 10 years of walking normal off your life. I think that Tony's a super charismatic dude. I think that he's going to do great in the booth. I know people have talked about this too. Like, I could see him signing a deal with CBS where he's going to be able to actually commentate on golf too, because he's a really big golfer.
You really think that's possible? You want to see Tony Romo as a professional golf announcer?
I mean, I think it's going to happen. I think that this is what he wants to do, and he's going to come out and it's going to happen. I don't think that there was a specific situation that would have fit best for him. Denver, maybe. Houston, maybe. Would it have been fun to see that? Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think that he's going to play this year. And every team, I think now, you're seeing the stories that have come out of Houston already saying that Tom Savage is going to be the QB that they're going with. Denver is going to need to make a decision if they want to stick with Trevor Siemian, if they want to stick with Paxton Lynch, what they're going to do there. I think that it's also good just to, let's not worry about playing the Tony Romo sweepstakes. And we're going to see what quarterbacks in this year's draft are going to actually be able to make some waves. Is Mitchell Trubisky going to be a guy that somebody's going to want to take a flyer on? How does this affect Deshaun Watson's stock? That free agent quarterback isn't out there anymore. Everybody was kind of wondering where Tony Romo was going to land and then let the chips fall where they did after that. But now that he's out of there, I think it's going to be an interesting scramble to see what you can find. And, let's not forget that Tony Romo himself is like a D2 type of a dude, a guy that was pretty obscure and, was just holding the kicks behind like Drew Bledsoe and like just a carousel of guys back in like 2005. And then finally ended up, getting a shot in Dallas in 2006. But I think that, I think it just shifts the focus to the draft and what quarterbacks are going to end up on some of those other teams.
Now, with Tony Romo out, like you said, it takes away one of those free agent quarterbacks, and it makes the draft a little bit more enticing when you're looking at the quarterbacks. Not that the quarterbacks coming out of the draft are guaranteed starters by any means, but what do we think this will have? What kind of effect will this have on Adrian Peterson? I mean, he's aging. I mean, for a running back, you don't see these guys lasting in the league very long. Long enough, but like for a guy who's already in his 30s, maybe AP looks at this and says, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore either. Maybe he retires and goes into broadcasting. Not that I don't think it'll happen, but what do you think about this affecting AP at all?
I feel like AP is in a different sort of a category than Tony Romo. I think that AP has this in his head that he could still be the best running back in the league. I think that he sees things like what Ezekiel Elliott was able to do this year. He sees things what some of these other running backs are doing, and he thinks that he could still do that type of he still thinks he's able to put up numbers. I think it really depends on what is the priority for him. Does he want to go to a place that's going to be a decent fit, that he'll be sharing snaps and get a potential championship? He was just in New England. Is that a potential? Is it something that he's going to want to go to a place that's just going to throw a bunch of money at him? Obviously, an aging running back is somebody that is the type of commodity. I mean, there's plenty of young running backs that are coming out. You're not going to have to pay as much money to Adrian Peterson, but Adrian Peterson's not just another running back. This is the dude that came back, rehabbed about twice as fast as you're supposed to, and won the rushing title the next season. Like, this dude is still a very special talent. So I don't think he's gonna quit. I could see AP trying to get another 1 to 2 years out of this, get a little bit more money, and it depends. If his prior, I honestly do think that, and I wrote about this about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. I think New England would be a place that Adrian Peterson would actually fit in well. He is not a blocking back. He doesn't do great with pass protection, but you don't necessarily need him to do great with pass protection. You can run him, as a first or a second down back, be able to give him some carries and let him split the load, with everybody else that you have in that platoon backfield with Tom Brady, the guy that honestly, you guys were talking about it earlier. Like, the only major injury that he had was when he went down in, I think it was 2008, when he tore like his ACL and his MCL. He was out for like 15 games. But other than that, like, I can see Tom Brady playing until he's 45. And, you know, if he gets 2 years with Adrian Peterson, that's a really, really dangerous that's a really dangerous thought for everybody in the AFC.
I think with AP, he's got to decide, does he want to be the lead back or does he want to go somewhere to win? Because if he wants to be the lead back, he's going to have to go to probably not a very good team. But if he wants to win, he's got to go somewhere where there's a line. I know that he's a beast and he recovers at a rate of a superhero, but he is getting older. And if he wants to win, he's going to have to, one, take a step back, and two, have a good line. So where do you think – I mean, New England would be a great place, but where else could he fall?
You know, it's an interesting thing. The way I always looked at it is I thought it was kind of like a two-horse race. You know, he's always talked about Dallas, and people have thought about that, but unless he really wants to take a back seat and be the guy that's going to sort of help Ezekiel Elliott make that extra step, or take that extra step to what could really just be a superstar record-breaking career. I think that would be, as far as a line goes, obviously that's the best fit. I thought that Seattle was always a potential. You know, they did just sign Eddie Lacy. So, you know, beast mode turned into feast mode up here. But I think that Seattle was always an option. I don't see any other than the Cowboys, and they still didn't do it this year. I don't see there being like a number one back sort of a fit for Adrian Peterson. I see a lot of teams that are switching to this 2-3 back set where they're able to rotate guys in for different type of packages. And I really do think, and just some of the feelings, and, you know, being a Patriots fan myself, sort of seeing the way that team operates, even though he didn't leave New England with a contract, you know, this week, I can still see that being a deal to be done. So I really do think it's New England and everybody else at this point. But I would be surprised if I saw him in a place other than one of those three.
Now, switching gears here a little bit, we have a couple of rule changes in the league this year, and one thing that I'm surprised they didn't address, and I guess I didn't really give you the heads up that I was going to bring this up, but this rule absolutely boggles my mind. Apparently, if a quarterback is outside of the pocket, it says in the rule book that a defensive back can get as physical as they like with their receiver or their assignment. Now, what I do not understand is we are a league where we have a handful of running quarterbacks, and they're almost more likely than not going to be outside of the pocket. Now, when that happens, you know, Richard Sherman, he's known as a dirty hitter, but most of these hits are legal. And when I noticed this, it was when the Bills played the Seahawks last year, and it was towards the end of the game, and we had a chance to win, and he just completely blindsided one of our receivers. Now, Tyrod Taylor's outside of the pocket. Our wide receivers don't necessarily have the advantage of knowing that he's outside of the pocket, but the defensive backs do. I don't think it's fair that these defensive backs can just knock these guys out of the play just because their quarterback is out of the pocket. What's your opinion on that? And I'm just surprised that they didn't address this year.
I'm not totally surprised they didn't address it this year. I think that it will be addressed probably next year. The league is always a year behind this, right? So, like, this year they just got rid of the fact that you can't leap over, you know, you can't pull what Troy Polamalu was doing for a long time, what, you know, the Seahawks have done really well, what the Patriots have done really well, you know, the jumping over to block the kick. You know, that took them a year longer than people thought it was going to. This is a rule that kind of just came to light this year. I think that everybody, especially in that game against the Seahawks against the Bills, you know, I saw that. I remember I didn't watch the game live, but I remember seeing it afterwards. I'm like, what in the world is Richard Sherman doing? Did he just like lose his mind? Like, did he just snap? But it's completely legal. And, I think that this year you'll probably see more of that. I could see there probably being some sort of like unsportsmanlike conduct type things that happen.
It's dangerous.
It is dangerous. I'm not saying it's not, but that also plays into the fact that there is this new rule that it sort of is like the target rule in college that officials can actually eject a player for like a helmet to helmet type of a hit. So if you have like a defenseless receiver and you actually have a cornerback that lowers the shoulder and makes any sort of contact like that very well could hurt a player. Like you could see somebody getting kicked out and ejected from the game for that. I think that the officials will police it. I have a hard time thinking that this rule lasts any longer than this year. But this is that type of like sort of weird middle ground gray area that players like Richard Sherman. There was like an NFL Films short talking about how this dude knows the rule book better than the officials even know the rule book because he's always trying to get that edge. That's what people say Bill Belichick always tries to do is get that edge. There's always these little intricacies in there that, yes, are dangerous, that whatever somebody was writing it down, they probably weren't thinking about what you're able to do there. Yeah. And, it'll last for a season or two and then it'll get taken away. But
usually some of these, when a guy does figure out the rule book and find a loophole like that, and of course, Richard Sherman he's going to take advantage of that while he can because it is legal and it is in the rule book. It's going to make him look like a dirty player, but real quick, I just want to give a shout-out to some people on Facebook. Of course, Trevor, Tom, and Jeff is here as well. Scotty says, #BillsMafia. Scotty, we are talking with Dom Garrett, who is a Patriots fan, but he is one of our football correspondents, so we will have him on whenever we can. But
I'll jump through a table for Bill's Mafia. I'll do that.
All right. If we have to. I need a video of it so we can get it on Barstool. But I'm excited for the season so that you and I can debate a little bit about the Bills and the Patriots.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor says, where does Jamal Charles land? Seattle combo with Lazy Lacy, question mark. Does Charles have any knees left for the NFL?
It seems like we've completely forgotten about Jamal Charles.
A little bit. I'm still excited to see where he goes. Yeah, I think he could still offer something.
If he's, again, a duo, he can't be the lead back. He's shown that in Kansas City.
Dom, what do you think? Does Jamal Charles possibly land in Seattle with Eddie Lacy? And does he have any knees left for the NFL?
God, man, oh man. Like it's really crazy to just like I'm following along too, and I saw that name pop up. I'm like, oh yeah, Jamal Charles. Like I think that I do see the longevity of backs lasting longer when you are running this platoon type of a system. But does he have any knees left? Yeah, he'll probably like bust off like one like 127-yard game. And, probably piss me off because he's like somehow got picked up by the guy that I'm playing in fantasy that week. Like that's the type of thing that I can see Jamal Charles doing. Is he going to break 1,000 yards? No. Is he going to get more than like 5 touchdowns? Probably not. But could that be a duo that's actually there? For sure.
Like a Chris Johnson type role in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could see something like that, coming up for Jamal Charles. And, he from what I really remember about Jamal Charles, now obviously he was like super explosive, but at the same time, like he is a pretty decent pass blocker as well. So if you have that ability and, he has good hands, he can catch something out of the backfield. You get him into a good system where you could play like on a second or third down and be able to pick up some of those yards. I could see there definitely being a spot for him, but is he going to be a featured back anywhere? Hell no.
I don't think so either. I think I'm excited to see where he signs, but excuse me. Let's go. I want to talk about one more rule change in the NFL before we let you go, Dom. I want to talk about the new replay review system. It looks like the NFL is going to move more towards how the NHL handles their reviews. They are completely eliminating the booth or the hood, so say goodbye to the hood. There will be no more fun graphics on ESPN or CBS. It just says under the hood or whatever. So they're moving more towards a command center in New York. How is this going to affect the game? Is it really that big of a deal? And why should I care?
I don't think it's going to affect the game. I think that, it's going to say like holding the tablet or something like that. It's probably those giant like cone headphones. There's going to be that dude that runs out with like the bag that looks like he's like a wartime like radio operator, just like, oh, we have to contact a base. And Dean Blandino is, the back of Dean Blandino's head at that weird like GoPro in the corner of the control center is going to get a lot of airtime. Like that's what it's going to be. I hope that because they have all these different camera angles, because they're looking at it and almost jumping on top of this before the ref has to see it, and the ref has to go through and zoom, and there's going to be people that are operating it. I hope it makes the replay process faster. Will there be more potential replays? I mean, maybe, but if it's going to the control center, I always trust that. Like, I know that Major League Baseball replays can be slow at times, but at the same time, I like the process. Like, send it to somebody that's staring at 19 TV screens and let them do it, instead of you trying to, one dude, like, going underneath the hood like this and trying to figure it out when you have all this other distractions around you. Like, just make it easy. Give Ed Hockley a tablet so he could like hold it. The guns can be showing, and then he can, signal for first down. Like, just make it quicker. It doesn't matter to me.
Now, there's a familiar face in the league who's come out and brought up another strongly debated topic in the NFL. Jerry Jones has come out and said that he wants the NFL to drop its prohibition on marijuana use. And considering that a lot of these players don't like the fact that they're getting pounded with prescription painkillers left and right and essentially forcing addiction, some of these guys have self-medicated themselves with marijuana. And there's a Buffalo Bill who has Crohn's disease, and this is his only way to combat Crohn's, and in his case, stay healthy and stay in the league. What's your opinion on Jerry Jones' remarks and the NFL lifting the prohibition on marijuana?
It's about damn time. The way I look at it, like if you're looking at the country in general, I live in Seattle, I live in Washington. It's a green state. You can, there's pot shops everywhere around here, right? Like, this is something that I think that medicine is going to, like, it does help heal pain. It does help not have to take these prescription painkillers. And if you look across the country, if you count medical marijuana, I was doing a little bit of the research here. If you count medical marijuana in that, half, so 25 of the 50 states, marijuana is legal. And so you are operating businesses in this state. You have these athletes that are grown adults that are operating in this. I think it's about time that the NFL loosens it up. Now, they did loosen it up a little bit. Back in 2015, they changed the rules so that the positive amount that you could test for, it was like 15 nanograms per milliliter, which I don't know. It's like in the blood or whatever. It was only 15. They raised it up to 35. But the next closest league, which is Major League Baseball, is at 50. Like, the NFL is the strictest when it comes to this. And they actually, you see this all the time, like players getting suspended for this. You don't see it in the NBA. You don't see it in the NHL. You don't see it in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see it those places. And I think that's fine. I don't understand why the thing that actually helps heal pain and makes players feel better is the strictest in arguably, I mean, aside from hockey, but arguably the most intense and physical sport. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, this isn't going to happen until the next collective bargaining agreement, which I believe is in 2020. So we're not really going to see anything that's going to change for a while. But I do think that it's something that, again, if the league takes 2 years to figure out that it's, dangerous for somebody to jump over somebody else at full speed to try to block a kick, it doesn't surprise me that it's taking them this long. I just hope that in the next collective bargaining agreement, there's more owners like Jerry Jones that step up and go, yeah, just let the dude smoke some pot and he'll be fine. It's not like they're like
Stop
just
suspending my players,
ripping off of a bong like right before kickoff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's not going to make them play any better. So.
Exactly.
So
like it's like Robin Williams said in that special. It's only a performance enhancer if there's like a chocolate bar in the end zone. Like if that's what you're gonna have, that's great. But like just let them smoke a joint after a game and relax.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that, and especially from the medicinal standpoint, Seantrell Henderson for Buffalo Bills, he's an offensive tackle. He was suspended in the beginning of the season 4 games for basically combating his Crohn's with prescribed medical marijuana, and then of course he's not going to stop smoking because it helps him eat, and as a professional football player, you're eating 24/7. And with Crohn's, it makes it very hard to do that. So I don't want a twig of an offensive lineman. So he got in trouble again for the second time of the season and then was suspended for 10 games. So this is, it's ridiculous to me because it really doesn't. It's not a big deal. They're not out there, blowing lines at the club. You know what I mean? They're at home eating popcorn. If anything, we should just be happy that they're at home smoking weed as opposed to going out and punching a dude in the face or, getting in trouble with TMZ or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a big deal. And I think this is right behind what I will call the Sherman rule, where if your quarterback's out of the pocket, you can just crush any defense or any receiver you want. So I think those two things need to be addressed next season for sure. And, of course, we'll get a couple guys this year that'll get in trouble for smoking pot, and we'll just have to, accept it for what it is this season. But, Dom, unfortunately, our time here has come to a close with you. It's been, of course, I feel like whenever we're with you, we always run a little late, which isn't a problem. I love chatting with you. So, real quick, where can anybody find you on social media if they want to contact you?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Twitter at Dom Garrett, 2 R's, 2 T's. You can also find the website just launched, ridingthepine.co or at ridingthepine_. We're going to be talking a lot about the draft. We actually had a post that just went up about we drafted a mock draft for the 2017 football class for maximum entertainment value. So move over Todd McShay and Mel Kiper. We're just all in it for the fun. So, enjoy your favorite legal medical marijuana and come and read some articles about football.
Looking forward to it, of course. It's always a pleasure to have you on, man, and I hope we can have you on again soon. And, of course, with the Bills playing the Patriots like 100 times this season, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about and debate about, and it may even get a little heated. But for now in the offseason, I think we're okay. What do you think?
I'm more than happy to call a truce for right now.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for coming on, Dom. We'll see you next time, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you guys.
All right. You got it. Dom Garrett, man. He's great.
He is good.
He's awesome. He's
fun.
so much fun to have on. Now, we had a couple comments here that I do want to get to real quick. Scotty asked a question. Since we talked about it a little bit, but he says, since Romo has decided to get into broadcasting, what's next for Houston and their QB problem? And Dom mentioned that this makes the quarterbacks in the draft even more enticing because there aren't that many free agent quarterbacks out there, and there aren't a lot of teams that are going to trade for these guys. I mean, your best free agent option right now is Johnny Manziel and Colin Kaepernick. And, those two are basically hanging out in the corner just, waiting for somebody to take a chance on them. So what do you think about Houston and where they're going to look?
I mean, I know they said that they're happy with, what they have, and opening day they'll be happy with what they have. But they've got to address it in the draft. There's no other choice.
They have to. I think you're right.
Even if you are happy with him, you still have to. You probably still have to draft a quarterback because are those long-term answers?
True, and that's the thing. I mean, they almost have to draft a quarterback. RG3's out there too, but he's got the same problem that Jamal Charles kind of has where, I mean, if your knees are messed up and your main thing is running, I don't know if it's really hard to take a chance on you. And like you said, I think he does fall into more of like a Chris Johnson role with Arizona because he was the guy who had a couple good seasons and then, knees gave out on him.
CJ2K?
There's a couple other guys out there, Christian Ponder, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick. These are guys who were never very surprising, but could get you somewhere where you needed to be or just fall short like he was
Fitzpatrick
with the Bills.
Fitzpatrick is that guy that is like the ultimate stopgap. I mean, he can't get anyone to commit to him long term. He plays well for about half the season, and then it seems to fall apart at the end.
I liked Fitzpatrick when he was with Buffalo, and he wasn't by any means a long-term answer, and we didn't get into the playoffs with him, of course, but he was fun to watch because, I mean, he had a good arm. He wasn't very elusive by any means, but he's a smart guy. I think he tested as the highest IQ in the NFL.
He's generally going to make the right play.
I'll get to this breaking news in just a moment. I don't know what Baxter's doing. He just starts writing things on a whiteboard and expects me to know what he's talking about. So here's another thing. Trevor says, I feel like the whole Osweiler trade for Houston represented a full court press for Romo. So who's next? Cutler, draft, Savage. So that's.
I mean, I think they just wanted to get out of Osweiler.
I can't read that. That's too small.
I think they just wanted to get out of Brock Osweiler.
I need an IFB if you want to tell me some of these things. Oh, my gosh. Anyways, yeah, so the Osweiler thing is interesting because
this is the contract. They wanted to be done with it.
Yeah, they want to be done with it. And, I mean, this is why I don't see them going for, like, Fitzpatrick or anything like that because essentially you're getting a quarterback that has less promising potential than Brock
But you're
Osweiler.
also not going to be tied to him for multiple years.
This is true. Dominic says, thanks for the love, Mom. # no shame in my game. That's awesome. I love it.
Love is love, man. Got to take it when you get it.
Love Fitz. Always gives 110%. Unlike Kyle Orton. # king of sliding. Oh, my gosh. Oh, Baxter Colburn comments. He says, Austin Davis, another sleeper free agent quarterback. He just flipped the table. If you wanted me to say it, why don't you just tell me?
Is he a sleeper, though?
I don't think he's a sleeper. No. I mean, here's the deal. If you're a good quarterback, you're starting on a team already.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah. I mean, you're not.
Tony Romo, even if he signs somewhere, there's still going to be a question of, okay, do we start him? Like, if he came to Buffalo, do we start Tony Romo over Tyrod Taylor? We'd have to wait to training camp. And I think that's why some of these teams wouldn't take a chance on him.
Yeah, but you're not bringing in Tony Romo as a backup.
He's not going anywhere. And he's not going anywhere as a backup. So maybe that's why he's like, okay, nobody really wants me to start for him except Cleveland.
And I don't want to play this game.
And I want to play in Cleveland. So, Davis was called the next Favre. Okay, Baxter.
And Harold Miner was the next Jordan, so.
Yeah.
We'll let that one go.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Man, there's so much going on in the football world right now. Not really, though. Let's see here. Let's get into some surprisers or pretenders. I want to talk about some of the guys who we're not really sure about right now, and that includes some people we already talked about in Tony Romo, Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, and one thing that piqued my interest was Todd Gurley. So some people are saying Todd Gurley can come back next year and have another breakout year in L.A. since he definitely had a downer last year.
Yes. Is
Todd Gurley a surpriser or is Todd Gurley a pretender?
I mean, you have to think that he's a surpriser. It's still so early in his career, and his rookie year was good. I mean, he fell off a little bit last year, but
sophomore slump.
Let's chalk that up to the move and you have to think he can come back.
I think so. I think he can, and I think for the organization of the Rams in L.A., that's pretty much all they have to hope for right now is a future with Todd Gurley. Tony Romo retiring and going into broadcasting, surpriser or pretender?
I'm surprised. Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I think that he had a few more years left, but ultimately, you said it earlier. I think it is the right move. So I guess I would have to say I'm surprised.
We have some 2018 free agent quarterbacks right now for next season. Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees, Drew Stafford. Matt Stafford. Oh, my God. Drew Stafford's a hockey player. Sam Bradford, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a lot of free agent quarterbacks next season.
Well, I mean,
plus the draft itself next
right.
year has a couple good quarterbacks coming in. So
with Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's turning out to be the new Fitzpatrick.
Some of those guys are going to get signed, though. Some of those guys are going to get re-signed.
Eventually, Cousins is going to get a deal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not
maybe
it's
it's not in
not,
Washington.
I don't think it's going to be in Washington. I don't think they give him a long-term deal.
Because it's not. Year. He's not great and he's not awful. I mean, he's.
Baxter says these were the best ones he could find. There are 10 more, plus 10 more. Can you hold that up one more time really quick? I just want to see what your list says right there. So Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins. Drew Brees is going to get Drew Brees will probably get re-signed by New Orleans. They're not going to let him go just yet. Stafford's interesting because, and so is, Derek Carr, we can probably assume will get re-signed in Oakland or wherever they are in Vegas or whatever.
Yeah.
Stafford and Bradford are interesting because there's potential that those teams move on from those quarterbacks. And those would be decent free agent quarterbacks to look at.
With Bradford, I guess the real question is, and I haven't done much research on this, but what's going on with Teddy Bridgewater? Is he done?
It's scary because
it seemed like they were happy with and invested in Teddy Bridgewater. So
yes, until his unfortunate injury, and I mean it could potentially just end his career.
Right. If it's a career ender, then unless you're drafting,
I think they have to think about that right now.
Right.
They have to assume. I mean, he's not going to be ready for this season, so they have to assume that Teddy Bridgewater is not going to be playing for them anymore. And even if he did come back. Teddy Bridgewater's a mobile quarterback who just got his leg broken in half. Like, Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be Teddy Bridgewater anymore, and it's sad. But and he had a promising future. But unfortunately for Minnesota, I don't think it's going to happen. So
I never really saw it with Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I think he was a mobile quarterback, but he wasn't
amazing. He
wasn't one of the faster guys.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the greatest arm, in my opinion. And I just don't like quarterbacks that wear gloves.
Trevor says the Raiders are already talking to Derek Carr about working out long-term contract details, and Todd Gurley told everyone playing fantasy football to pick him number 1 overall last year. A lot of disappointed people out there. He's not wrong. Trevor actually agrees with you, Baxter. He says tossing Austin Davis. Agreed. He's an unheralded prospect still left on the free agent market. I don't care. Austin Davis. I'm not signing Austin Davis.
I don't care.
Mike Zimmer dances around every question regarding Bridgewater's future in the NFL. I mean, nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. And like I said, it's sad because he was a young, halfway decent quarterback who probably had, a decent career in him and lots of money.
Right.
But he's in a position right now in limbo where nobody really knows what's going on.
He also had the protection of AP at the time, so.
Apparently, the free agent market next year is deep at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And apparently, there's going to be some good quarterbacks out there, too. But the draft next season has a couple good quarterbacks coming in. And the draft this year has some decent wide receivers and running backs as well. So there are ways to fill spots on your team. It's just, there are some teams out there that still need quarterbacks, and there aren't any quarterbacks available right now, unless you're Johnny Manziel and Colin Kaepernick. But, neither here nor there. I think Tony Romo is a surpriser because I expected him to play another season at least with one team and give it a shot. But I didn't see him. I'm not surprised he's going into broadcasting, but I didn't see him retiring and doing it.
It's hard to go out on an injury and so many questions.
Yes. And, I mean, maybe he is the Brett Favre. Maybe he will come back and be like, you know what, I got more in me. I got more in me. I'm Tony Romo. So, let's see. Man, the QB out of the pocket rule just really gets me. I don't understand how that. It's like the NFL just creates they make the rules, and then there's somebody out there who, like Dom said, is smarter than the referees, and they're like, I mean.
But it's not going to hurt teams like the Patriots. Tom Brady's not going out of the pocket. It's going to hurt temes with mobile quarterbacks.
This is true. But,
even your Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Brady and Matt Ryan.
Two pocket
guys.
Yeah. I mean, the pocket quarterback is the prototype of the NFL, but
Right.
there are some decent options out there that are mobile quarterbacks. I mean, look at Cam Newton. Like, what's going to happen when Cam's out of the pocket?
It seems like they don't care how Cam Newton's hit, though.
This is true. Well, this is true. This is true.
How anyone around Cam is hit, basically they're cool with Cam getting his head knocked off.
Adrian Peterson, he says he's not in a rush to sign anywhere, and he won't take anything less than $8 million. Is he a surpriser next year, or is he a pretender?
He's put his foot down, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to say a pretender. I don't see it.
I don't think he's worth the money right now.
No.
And I would love to see Adrian Peterson play for the Bills, but we're not going to take a gamble at $8 million
Right.
on a guy who was injured all season last year. So
And then what do you do with
in his
McCall?
30s? Exactly. So I think AP is pretending here, but yeah, we're almost running out of time. But I wanted to touch up on the HBO Hard Knocks has extended their 4-year deal with the NFL. So what's your opinion on that, my man?
4 more years of Browns, Bengals, Jaguars.
Will you watch it?
Probably not. I think it's always good for like the first episode, just to like get you
Just
back
to
into
see it.
football.
Yeah,
and then you're
that's
like,
true.
why
You're like, I
do
don't
I
care about
care
this
what
team.
the Browns are doing?
And it's
I
just
think
a
it'd be
reality
different
show.
if they had, a top flight team. But the problem with that is your top flight teams. You think Bill Belichick's letting them in there? You think Green Bay's letting them in there?
No.
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 They're not bringing all those cameras around. So it's a great idea, but
It's just not ideal.
the great teams aren't going to let you do it. So
And those are the teams that people would want to see.
Right.
So, unfortunately, I will not be watching the Browns on the Hard Knocks this year either.
the Jaguars would be semi-interesting just because they're always trying to be that up-and-coming team. But
Yeah.
again, it's the Jaguars. I'm not really that interested.
Okay, so let's move into our final segment here. We're almost out of time. I want to do our quick pick six, and this week we're each going to pick 3 teams that we think will make it to the Super Bowl. I think I will lead with the AFC if you want to lead with the NFC, since you're a Packer fan. I'm a Bills fan, so let me see here. I'll pull it up here. Is that okay with you if we do? You
works
handle
for
the
me.
NFC, I'll handle the AFC, and we'll see if our predictions are right next season. Okay. I'll go with my first bet. I'll go with the Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots. I think they could very well easily make it back to the Super Bowl next year.
Yep.
I think they're my favorite at the moment. In the AFC, that is.
I'm not going to go in any particular order, but I think Dallas is a good shot. Obviously, what Zeke did, it was amazing, and we'll have to see what Dak can do as a follow-up. But they have a solid team. They have a solid line. Packers basically beat them on a last-second, pretty lucky catch by Jared Cook. So, and then a field goal. So I hate to say it, but I feel like Dallas is on their way back up.
Okay, I could see that. I think you're right with Dak's season he had last year. I think he's poised to get over the hump. And, this is the closest Dallas has been in 15 years to winning a Super Bowl. Not to take anything away from Tony Romo, but Dak Prescott is a better option for me right now. See, the AFC is interesting because there are so many teams that could do well and not do well. I'm looking at the NFC, and I'm like, okay, this team can make it, that team can make it, that team can make it. And then I'm looking at the AFC, I'm like, you got a bunch of old quarterbacks and a bunch of mid-place guys. So I'm going to go with the young guys in the Oakland Raiders. I think if Marshawn Lynch signs with Oakland, I think that makes him a Super Bowl contender, and I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Because knowing that they're going to inevitably move, I think it would be cool for Marshawn Lynch. It would be a great storyline to have him down there. So I'm going to go with Oakland Raiders as one of my other Super Bowl contenders this year in the AFC.
Then for me, a little bit of a maybe not a surprise, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think David Johnson's a beast. Maybe they have one more left for Larry.
I think so. I would love to see that.
I think that's
I'm
more
a huge
why
Larry
I'm saying it,
Fitzgerald
because
guy.
I want it.
Yeah.
I would love to see him.
Yeah, it's safe to
get
say
a
I'm not
ring.
drafting him in fantasy football again this year, though. Definitely not.
Carson Palmer, maybe one last.
Maybe
hurrah.
one more year. See, what are they going to do once they move on from Carson Palmer?
Well, Austin Davis is available apparently.
Austin Davis is available. It's unbelievable. For my third, I'm going to go with unfortunately, I think he has one more good season. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers because Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are too good, and Ben Roethlisberger still has a decent arm. So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to figure it out, and I think they have a chance to make it back this year. So my AFC picks are New England, Pittsburgh, and the Oakland Raiders. Those are the three that I think will come out on top when it is all said and done. We'll probably end up doing this closer to regular season again, but this is my too early to tell Super Bowl prediction.
Well, since it's early and too early to tell.
Mm-hmm. Too early to tell.
I'm going to go with the
Green Bay Packers. Well, that's it. I'm going with the Bills. The Bills have a great chance to make it to the Super Bowls.
I mean, in all honesty, though, they do have a decent chance.
Baxter. Oh, of course they do. They always do. So I'll give you that. I was assuming I would have picked Green Bay too. So and that's my completely biased opinion. But Baxter says his sleepers are the New York Giants, Kansas City, and the Titans. The Titans are interesting to me.
Titans are interesting.
Still some young quarterback questions there. But in regards to the Giants could very well be contenders this year. You could bring in Brandon Marshall to complement Odell Beckham Jr., and then you have a pretty scary set of wide receivers.
Right. And as much as I don't like Eli, he's not a bad
As much
quarterback.
as I hate Odell. Yeah, he's good enough. He's good enough to win
he's
two Super
gonna
Bowls.
have two guys
apparently.
he can just throw it up to.
Maybe the Patriots will lose to the Giants again one last time before both of those quarterbacks retire. So sorry, Dom, but
I'd be okay with that.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any closing remarks? Any closing thoughts here as we close out the Pick Six today?
No, just Packers to the Super Bowl.
Packers to the Super Bowl. I'm picking the Bills as my wild card to win the Super Bowl this year, of course. So for James Stewart, I'm Tanner Burke. Of course, as always, like, share, comment, whatever. And be sure to check out our website at brewsportsnet.com. That's brewsportsnet.com. Like our page and be sure to click the follow button or whatever it is so that you can get alerted whenever we go live. So,
just do it.
Can people find you on Facebook anywhere or on social media anywhere?
J. Stu Jr., both Instagram and Twitter.
Beautiful. I'm at Banner Turk for J. Stu Jr. Until next time, this has been our weekly episode of the Pick Six. Thank you for watching.